Welcome to Hollow Creek. Hollow Creek, a name that conjured images of mist-wreathed valleys and forgotten secrets. The village nestled amongst rolling hills, a cluster of houses huddled around a sturdy ancient church. Beyond the neatly tended gardens and cobbled lanes, the woods began. Dark and silent, they pressed close to the village, a constant, watchful presence. At the edge of the woods, where the trees' thinned and gnarled branches clawed at the sky, stood a house. Tall and imposing, it had once been grand, a testament to wealth and prosperity. Now the windows were dark eyes, the paint peeling like scabs. The garden, once a riot of colour, was overgrown and choked with weeds. The house had stood empty for years. Locals whispered tales of tragedy and misfortune. Their voices hushed as they spoke of the family who had once lived there. They said the house was cursed, that the echoes of their sorrow lingered, clinging to the walls like cobwebs. Clara arrived in Hollow Creek on a day when the sky mirrored the mood of the village, grey and heavy with unshed rain. She was a young woman, her face pale and drawn, her eyes reflecting a deep sadness. She had come to Hollow Creek seeking solace, a chance to outrun the ghosts that haunted her own past. The old house at the edge of the woods called to her. It was as if it recognized a kindred spirit, a soul as lost and lonely as itself. The estate agent had been hesitant, his smile strained as he handed her the keys. "It's been empty for a long time," he'd said, his voice low. "Perhaps too long." But Clara was undeterred. She saw past the decay and neglect, sensing the house's hidden beauty. This was a place where she could disappear, where the whispers of the world would be silenced by the rustling of the leaves and the creaking of the floorboards. This was a place where she could start again. The first few days passed without incident. Clara busied herself with unpacking and making the house habitable. The rooms were large and airy, with high ceilings and tall windows that allowed the weak winter sun to spill inside. She hung curtains, their bright colours a stark contrast to the faded grandeur of the house, and filled vases with wildflowers picked from the overgrown garden. But as the shadows lengthened and darkness crept in, a change came over the house. The silence, once comforting, became oppressive, broken only by the creaking of the old house as it settled around her. She began to hear things, a soft whisper as she passed the study, a floorboard groaning on the landing above, the distinct impression that she was not alone. One night, lying in bed, she could have sworn she heard a child laughing, the sound faint and high-pitched, echoing from the depths of the house. She sat up, heart pounding, straining to hear it again, but the laughter was gone, replaced by the heavy silence that seemed to press down on her, suffocating her. Fear, cold and insidious, began to take root in her mind. The days that followed were a blur of unsettling incidents. Doors slammed shut without reason, their heavy oak panels echoing through the empty house. Objects moved, vanishing from where she had left them, only to reappear in the most unexpected places. Clara would wake in the night, her heart pounding in her chest, convinced that she had felt a cold breath on her cheek, a presence hovering just beyond the reach of her vision. There were cold spots in the house, pockets of icy air that clung to her like a shroud. One, in particular, at the foot of the grand staircase, sent shivers down her spine every time she passed it. And then there were the shadows. They danced at the edge of her vision, shifting and changing shape, always just out of focus. Clara tried to rationalize these events, to convince herself that there was a logical explanation. The house was old, after all, prone to drafts and creaking floorboards. But deep down, a primal fear whispered that something was wrong. Something was deeply, terribly wrong.